Now in this video I'm going to show you some editing shortcuts that will save you an absolute ton of time and help give your videos a more professional and polished feel. Now I'm going to be completely honest, I filmed this on a Saturday and it's been quite a long week and I've had rather a large lunch, and the last thing I really fancied doing was filming a video. I really would rather have curled up and gone to sleep. So this is sleepy me doing this video. But are you able to pick that up? Hopefully not. Hopefully the tactics that I taught you in the previous video, or this video in fact, override whatever state you're in by getting in the right state. So had this been fresh on a Monday morning, I would have been a lot livelier and it would have been much easier to do. So we'll see how I've got on. So it is going to be slightly flatter than I would have liked, but it shows you that if you do the three E's, the three essential E's correctly, that even if you're really sleepy, you can still do a reasonable job to camera. Okay, so I'm going to edit the footage in iMovie, and don't worry if you don't have iMovie and you're using a different software, the general principles I'm going to show you will be exactly the same. So we start out by creating a new movie. We don't want any theme. Name the video. Now the first thing you want to do is drag all of your footage into the editing panel. So just pick it up and drag it. Now with my camera it breaks the clip when there's over 12 minutes of footage, so I'm going to have to drag the 2 in. Now the very first thing you need to do is highlight both clips and then enhance the footage, and what the enhance will do is improves the colour and the volume on the clip. And then go over to here and just put it in the middle so you can actually see the volume track beneath, because what I'm going to show you is a shortcut for editing in a moment. But before we get to that, we need to position ourselves correctly in the frame. So you click on the cropping button and notice that I'm doing the entire clip. It's very important to do this before you start splicing the clip into pieces so that everything is in the right place. So we're going to crop to fill, and I'm just going to move it about to there. Maybe bring that in a little bit. So you notice I'm not positioning myself dead center, because I've noticed that photographers, and also when you look at news programs, they tend to push somebody over fractionally to one side. So I will try that. No, that looks a little bit too much, so let's bring it back. And it's just sort of fiddling around with it so that it looks right to you. Okay, I think that will probably do. Okay, so we have enhanced the clip, we have positioned, and the next thing you need to do is to do the reduce background noise. So you click on the equalizer and then it automatically does it by 50%. Now, we had a bit of a microphone malfunction, or what I think happened is I ended up standing next to it and rubbing against it accidentally, and it's caused a lot of distortion on the volume. So if we start to play the clip, you'll see what I mean. And it makes it feel as if I'm looking over. Yeah, so we've got major distortion. So if I take that reduced background noise off, you'll really hear the distortion. And it makes it feel as if I'm looking over your shoulder to see if there's somebody more interesting. So that's really dreadful. So me bad, I should have positioned the microphone better, but anyway, reducing the background noise by 50% will certainly help. On this occasion, because I've really mucked up with the positioning of the microphone, I may well up it, so let's see how we're doing. Which is not a nice thing to experience. So I think, just to be sure, I'm going to up that to 60%. Now you need to check to see how the voice is, because you don't want to end up sounding like a Dalek. So make sure you look directly in the camera lens. Now, it's all very well. Yeah, it's a little bit, let's bring it down to 58. Not a nice thing to experience, so make sure. It's not perfect, but that will do. So, okay, the next thing we need to do is to speed up the editing process. You can see where there's long areas of silence where I'm checking my script, seeing what I need to do. So we're not going to need that. So what I'm going to do is Command B, and then I can see exactly where that is and just delete it. Now you'll notice it takes a little bit of time sometimes for the rest of the volume to appear, and when you're editing that can be a little bit of a pain, waiting for it to suddenly catch up. Why it has to keep refreshing every time you do a break, I have no idea, but it does. So what I tend to do is run to the very end of the clip and then edit it backwards. So I'll break the clips backwards, and then I don't have to, when I'm doing the main editing, I don't have to wait for it. And you can see when the volume display is quite full, you can see I'm obviously speaking fluently there. When it gets all a bit broken up like this, yeah, I'm referring to my notes. And so yeah, I've obviously gone wrong there. So I can see that isn't working well. Oh dear. So I think we can get rid of all of that. Emotion. Yes, thank goodness I decided to do that twice. So here obviously you can see just by the volume when you're doing well and when you're not. So the pre-video preening, very important, because what happens is if you have brushed your hair or done whatever before you've got to the camera, what can often happen is I find I end up with one bit that's just sticking up in a very peculiar way. So that's why I use my iPad as a mirror. I reverse the camera and make sure hair's in place, necklace is straight, my shirt's on in a uniform way and it's not over to one side, because you can film an entire section and then find there's this one annoying thing and it just really stands out if something's not aligned up or you've got hair looking like Tintin. So let's remove that clip and then go straight into it.
Hello, in this video yourself to be quite shy and introverted. Tip number 1.
That's a bit quick, so I'm just going to stretch this clip out. Need a little bit of a pause.
Shy and introverted. Tip number 1.
So now I'm just going to check for clip jump. You can see everywhere I've got a break, and we need to check and see how the transition is looking from one clip to another. Is it smooth, or do I need to do something to make it look better?
Shy and introverted. Tip number 1.
That's quite smooth. We'll leave that one. You can't tell it's been cut.
Drone. The answer to that leads us nicely into tip 2.
It's a bit jumpy,
The answer to that leads us
but it's livable. Okay, so this clip is jumping a little bit too much between them, so suddenly my head jumps. So there's several things you can do here. You can actually change, so you can zoom out, change the position, so that your eye is going on such a big jump. So if we do this,
get your message across to someone, and then once you've got yourself,
so that works quite well. It's such a dramatic jump that your eye takes it on board. So a bit of a topic change. So what I'm going to do is just to make this a little bit smoother, and also I want to recap. So I'm going to put in just a little note recapping, and then that is going to help with the transition from one bit of content to the next. So to add an image over the top of your video footage, just go into the iPhoto library, which is at the top here, and then just drag it in on top of where you want to go. So now I can then go to titles and add the text.
So to recap on the 3 essential E's.
So I've gone back in and just given this a title sequence, 3 essential video filming tips. And when you're going from a opening intro like this, you don't want to suddenly go into the footage. As you can see, it's quite harsh. So what you then want to do is have a transition. So I'm going to use the cross dissolve, as that's nice and quick.
Hello.
And that just softens it up. Now, I don't like using transitions if I can help it between actual spoken clips, because well, I'll show you, it looks a little bit odd.
Tip number 1.
It's all a bit blurry, so I would much rather, say if I'd mucked up this and my head was not as still as it was, I would much rather put in a photograph at that join than I would a transition. So for example, we could have just dragged that here.
Tip number 1. Eye contact is as important.
And then by the time you finish the photograph, you've forgotten the position of your head when you're talking. But anyway, we don't need that, because I did manage to keep nice and still between that break. So we could also zuzz it up with a little bit of music. So if we go to iTunes, I've got some pre-purchased things that I'm allowed to use. So I'll just pick one of these and just drag it down. And you don't want it full volume, you want it quite a lot lower, so you can click on that and just drag it down. Probably about 32% will be fine. I don't want it as long as that, so I'll probably have it to there, and then you just drag this so that it fades out. That's probably about that will do, so let's test that out. Now I could just stretch this a little bit and give myself a bit more time. Oops, I'm looking down, maybe not. And if I stretch the clip so I can really see it, and that enables me to see what I'm doing. Don't think we really need the hair flick, so let's get rid of that. Because you want the volume to balance with the voice.
Hello.
And you don't want people starting the video and jumping out of their skin.
Hello. In this video we're going to...
Yeah, maybe a bit less. So I can see on the volume here, this looks a lot lower. I think I was really flagging here. I really did need an afternoon doze. So I'm just going to turn the volume up just a touch to see if that helps lift it a little.
Hello. Then you want to switch your...
And then you have to check that it's not jarring with the next clip.
You get your message across to someone. And then once you've got yourself to really feel that emotion...
No, that seems
you've got to
fine.
stuff it down the camera for all your worth.
So then when you're happy with it and you think you've done it right, then you need to view it full screen just to double check. And this is your opportunity to see if anything jumps out at you. And to do this, just click on this arrow here and it'll start up.
Hello.
So there you go. That's an overview of how to edit in iMovie. So I hope you found this video helpful, and in our next video we'll talk technical tips on cameras, setup, which type of camera to use, microphones and all that kind of stuff. So I will see you in the next video.